Breaking news over on Dawg Post, Shadarius Toodle flipping from the Auburn Tigers to Georgia. Got a big story about it over on Dawg Post. Here's what Matt DeBerry had to say about it. It said Toodle is one of the top linebackers in the South. He was in Athens for Georgia's big scavenger hunt weekend in mid-May. He's long, athletic, and shows great instincts against the run. He hits with force and can get sideline to sideline. He sheds blocks with ease. Toodle was one of the most productive linebackers in Alabama this last fall. He's been a top target for Glenn Schumann and company. Yeah, look, Georgia is making their move in the recruiting front for sure. 10 commitments by my count since Memorial Day. The summer, we're not even a month into the summer. Georgia's firming up what will be its 2026 class. You had nailing down Jared Curtis not that long ago. So, when you add Toodle, a guy that has been very, very productive in his time as a linebacker in high school. That means you're getting closer and closer to potentially a number one class again for Georgia. I mean, this has been they've done a very good job through the years of stacking talent. With a linebacker, you want production. You want a lot of production at linebacker, and they're going to get that with Toodle. They had 157 tackles. 13 of them were tackles for loss. 157, tackles. That is a lot of productivity for linebacker. Now, I don't know the circumstances of all of it. I don't know if that's but that's a lot of tackles for sure. I mean, is he having to make too many plays because of just the way that I don't care. That's a ton of tackles. So that's something that's really encouraging for Georgia. Flipping it away from Auburn, that gives Georgia 18 commitments. USC's number one in the country right now, but that's going to fade. They got 30 commits. Georgia and Ohio State are not going to just chill out at 18 and 17 or whatever it is that Ohio State's got. It's not going to happen. Make sure you're taking advantage of our 2025 season preview offer that I've got over at Dawg Post. You can either buy our preview, which is mailing out this week. I told y'all late June. It's late June. It's getting mailed out this week. You can either buy it straight up with the link down below. You can Google Dawg Post 2025 preview, or you can take advantage of getting $60 worth of value for $15, which is signing up for 3 months of Dawg Post for the price of one, and you get the magazine and 3 months included. A lot of people have done this. We're going to run out of magazines probably sooner than later. So take advantage while you can right now. And with Toodle, let's get back to this real quick. When you've got to have guys that have the ability to be out there all the time. Glenn Schumann's best quote ever to me is availability is the best ability. You're not making 157 tackles without being out there in high school. I mean, there's a guy at Tucker where I went to high school. I think he had over 200 tackles in a season. It was some crazy number. And he didn't play college football. Part of that was because the defensive line was so weak that year at Tucker. And, you don't usually associate Tucker with having weak defense. It's the place that had Thomas Brown, Jonathan Ledbetter, some really good players, Patrick Pass, have come out of Tucker. But you want productivity from your linebackers. And over 150 tackles, that's a lot. So at the end of the day, Georgia's got a few things left to do. The defense, I'll be very curious to see, speaking of linebackers and what happens as it relates to them in the defensive line, I'll be very curious to see, as time goes on here, what the defensive line is that they sign in this class. Because when you're talking to folks, I think they may value next year's cycle better than they do this year's cycle in defensive linemen. So the way things are now, it's not about, it's adjusted some, it's changed some. You can go get guys in the portal, okay? You can go get guys in the portal if this particular class is weak to help you down the line. I mean, a good example of that is Xavier McLeod. I mean, getting him from South Carolina. He comes over. He did not have a clean season as it relates to injury last year, but it's as if he was a part of the class before that because, he came in as a redshirt freshman. So that they're not going to, sort of overextend in terms of finances to get guys that they don't feel are unbelievable. They'll sign the appropriate amount and take it from there. That's the other thing I think that's really changed probably in a good way, is now you're starting to see, people, there's, when we get to July 1st, you're going to see that things are going to settle down in recruiting world, because the rules that have not been in place are about to go into place. You're going to have to clear everything through the NIL clearinghouse and all this. And to the natural question, if you're still watching this video, to the natural question, are people going to cheat? Yeah, they are. It's just that there's been no way to cheat lately. And so it really has been the wild, wild west. Things will settle down and people will have to bend the rules how they feel they have to over time. That may take a little bit of time for schools to get used to. How do we bend the rules here? Whereas in the past, people knew which buttons to press. These last, 4 years have been so chaotic. It's been hard to know where to bury bodies. So, we're not going to kind of sugarcoat things. Certainly that stuff has gone on. I think lately, though, it's been a weird thing. So not related to what I'm about to talk about in terms of cheating, but like USC is at 30 guys right now. That something is going to happen this stretch of time here, where this next 6 months, where before signing day, we're probably 6 months almost exactly from signing day in December. There's going to be some adjustments, as there always has been over time, and everybody's going to get to their classes, but it won't probably quite look like what it looks like now at SC. I don't think. There's a lot going on. You could have a different head coach. I don't think that's going to happen necessarily at SC, but there's some pressure there on Lincoln Riley for sure, and he's got the number one class. But what was that built on? Was that built on NIL deals July 1st, and you got to not just hold those deals, but get them through the clearinghouse and all those things? That's a challenging thing. And all of this next sort of 6 months to 8, I would say 6 to 12 months is going to be a little bit tricky because of landing the plane that has been the House settlement and all of the negotiations that have gone on. And it's going to all trickle down to the schools, and they're all going to have to play ball the right way. But I think, this is a good addition to Georgia. You've got your 18 commits. Fitzpatrick, Curtis, they've got some guys in this class that are, as usual, high-level guys. And we'll just see over time what's left out there that they should get and should grab. They needed to add a quarterback. They got that with Curtis. That was probably the biggest thing, was doing that. Fitzpatrick, of course, I think has sort of flirted with some other places. But I would expect him to sign with Georgia, and let's just see what happens from there. You always have to develop what you get, and there are still some things in the calendar that have got to get nailed down. But I think whenever you have the type of momentum that Georgia has, 10 guys in the last not quite 30 days, that's a lot, and this probably has been their plan for a long time. And we'll just see how good Toodle is. One thing is true. Georgia's not getting any guys that are not good at football. They have done a superb job of recruiting and development over these last 9 years, and we're about to start year 10. And we'll see. The linebackers hardly ever been a problem at Georgia. They have identified and gotten guys. You think about Smallmundon, N'Kobe, Monty. I loved Monty Rice. They inherited some really good linebackers at Georgia too. So, but they have been very good at the identification and development of linebackers in the South going to go play for Georgia and Kirby Smart. And I have no reason to think that Toodle will be any different on that front. Flipping him from Auburn, that sounds sexy, I guess. But I think at the end of the day, I don't know how many people remember that George Pickens flipped from Auburn to Georgia signing day. I think the Auburn people do. But that's not really what he's known for now at all. It's about that he played for Georgia for all those years and won a national championship and so forth. Is that going to happen with Toodle? We'll just see. Hey, thanks for watching.